Morning guys, so welcome back to video 34. I'll start remembering because then I'll make it easier for me when I'm editing. Anyway, so I found some washers to try and put underneath the front of that cow. Hopefully I only need one or two. And I haven't got bolts yet for where the seat bolts go, if you haven't watched my last video. But yeah, because I needed, these bolts aren't really the wrong one, they're the wrong ones. They need to be bigger than that. I'd like them all to be the same, like the back bolts are the size where these are like 12 mil, half inch or whatever they are, where these are only like 10 mil I think, or whatever they are, the next sort of size down. But this is too short, but these will work for the very front ones, because I've got only these little bolts in it too. Like the holes in the frame are actually way bigger than the bolts, so I want to put the same all the way through. So if anybody ever has to take the body off, you only need, in theory, one spanner, not 3 or 4, because every freaking bolt's different. That drives me nuts with different things. Like I like to try and keep them as close as possible, so at least you might only need 2 spanners, not 10. So you will change these bolts over. Now, this is a prime example of if you're doing body work, metal work, and all those sorts of things, and it's especially a frame off car, but even a unibody, if you're doing any major repair work, before you go to paint, it'll bolt the freaking thing back together. I've seen it numerous times. Guys will buy a car, oh yeah, it's rusty, oh yeah, no, we'll get to fix this, change a sill or a rocker, or we're going to put bottoms on the doors, we're going to put a new door skin on, or you get a grafter, like you're in a fender guard, chassis roll, whatever, and they do all this body work and metal work, and they never bolt anything together. Like guys that have been doing it a long time know, but guys have been doing it, might have played around with, they might have done a little paint job or a little rust repair, but they've never blown a car fully apart. Bolt the frigging thing back together, even if you've just tack weld things back together, like say tack weld a door skin on a door, right, bolt it back in the hole, make sure your gaps are going to be really close, make sure that things fit before you finish, before you completely fold edges over and weld the corners or whatever you got to do to hold that skin on. Same with rocker work and lots of stuff. Get it tacked in, get it so it's solid, won't fall apart, bolt a door on, make sure your gaps are still right, or at least frickin' measure it. Bolt the body down if it's frame off, bolt it down. Get it where you think it's capable of being bolted down again. Bolt it down, put your doors back on, put your guards back on, put your bonnet or hood or boot lid or trunk lid or whatever, get it all back on. Make sure the car hasn't shifted, twisted, tweaked, whatever, because then when you're still at metal work and you haven't finished welded or total welded or whatever, or at least even if you have welded together, but if it's still in metal work, you can go, shit, okay, something's not right here, we can start measuring, checking, double checking, and go, right out, we need to chop it there and shift something, because that much gap can frickin' play just absolute hell of a car when you're trying to bolt stuff back together, and all of a sudden you're, say, $20,000-$30,000 into paint work and body work, and nothing fucking fits. You're in the shit, because you're basically throwing your $20,000 or $30,000 away, and you're starting again, because Dad did a 38 Studebaker, Buick for a guy. It was $28,000, and that was 15 to 20 years ago for the metal and body work. So that's a lot of money to throw away if something hasn't been double checked and triple checked. Make sure it bolts together and it all fits properly, because it looks freaking dumb. I've seen it where cars that haven't been ill repaired, and you sort of look at it and you go, what's wrong with this thing? Like something's just not right, and this door gaps are really clear but it's got like big door gaps, or they're crooked door gaps or something. They just haven't been finished, fitted, or they've dropped the rocker out and the door pillars have been sprung and they're just never, it's not right, you know, and things don't fit right, or they've had to elongate, like even like body mount holes, because the bolt won't fit the chassis to fit the body, because they've done everything else and they've fixed this one area and it's moved, you know, 5, 6, 10 mil, quarter of an inch, whatever, that piece has moved, and they've had to, things, and all of a sudden things all in that corner don't work right, and the bonnet's skew and the guard's cocked, and they've put it back together, and they've, well, you know, we've spent all this money, but if they'd taken the 10 or 15 minute, or say half a day to bolt the fucking thing back together and put all the bolts in it and make sure they're all freaking tight and the body rubbers are all new, then you can see if shit's moved, because it's easy to cut something and shift it when it's bare steel. But anyway, I'll stop crapping on and I'll get flying with this car again and see if I can get these door gaps right. Righty. Gotta get a bigger drill, I think. So the bolt that was in here was it was like massively, hugely too long. Even this is too long, but it's okay, but it was like freaking this long. And the thread was nowhere near the bottom of the chassis, if you know what I mean. So I've got a bit of all thread here that's the same size as these other bolts. So I need to drill that hole out, and I don't think that bolt's big enough. No, it's not. Or drill bit, sorry. But I put my order in last night for some extra bolts for the owner to get while he's in doing his other bits and pieces all the time. So hopefully maybe tomorrow or something like that, or over next week, he'll have them sorted. But so I'll enlarge this hole. I can put this one back in the other side. So I just wanted to ring that hole out so I can get this bolt in out a little bit easier, but at least I can pull this down. But I'll undo the front bolts and we'll just bang a washer underneath there, and just to lift that front of that body up a little bit. And then we'll bolt this down and see what the gap is. I may not need the washers. I may not need them, but they're there if I need them. So what I'll do is I'll go find a bigger drill bit. I think I might need a 13 mil, whatever it is, or ½ inch. I'll ream that hole up, because these holes in the chassis are way bigger than what these are. So I'll go find another drill bit and I'll run down through there and open that up, so at least I can get this bit of all thread in there and screw that down. Look, that's the door gap. So look, how do we look? Well, it's better. I think we'll say we're back in the ballpark again, for sure. It's made a hell of a difference. I'll give it a couple more tweaks here. We'll just see what happens. Yeah. Now screw it, I'll bring you back in a minute. Righty, so I don't know if I'm hitting the right ballpark, but like I've got no gap down there, and I don't really want to push it out more at the top. So what I think I might do, just have a try, put one more washer underneath this corner and that brace. Make another shim for on here on the actual hinge. Trying to push that door out. So if that'll kick the thick cowl back a little bit. Put a shim underneath here, which will kick the door out a little bit, which will give me this gap. And it also will hopefully close this gap, but keep the door square as I kick it back at the bottom. I'm hoping. Because it's actually fairly square at the back, but it's the cowl that's not square or something. I don't know. Like, there's no stupid crazy gap or anything underneath there, so like it doesn't look stupid. So like, and maybe, you know, one more won't hurt. And by the time you, I presume these probably have body welting and all that sort of stuff in there. I don't think it's going to make a huge difference. And obviously we can make that front door to fit exactly. You know, that's obviously going to take a little bit of finessing when we make the actual door. But yeah. And obviously I need to, once I get that door hinge fixed, I refit that back door on this side and just make sure nothing's changing too much with, so even this door here has come up with pulling that seat down. So yeah, this door has come up. Puts the gap right down there. I might have to make another shim here just to lean this door back a little. Yeah. Yeah, it needs to come down a little at the back, so I need to make another shim. And it is probably, seeing this gap here, it needs to probably come back, and then obviously this might need hammered around a bit because it's not very straight. That gap. So that probably just needs to come back a tick at the top. You know, one shim again on that hinge. So I'll make a couple more of those up and bang them and just see how we get on. Righty. So I'm just about finished here. But I had a little issue, and I've actually got the same issue in here, so I'll do this one as well. That hole's just obviously with me and obviously the previous guys when they've been bugging around with these doors, the screw out, or the wood out. So what I just did in here, so I just got a little, I just made a little square of wood, and I just made it round. And actually, that same glue that I used for here, I just smeared a bit on the end of it, and I've just driven it in there and then broken it off. So I'll let that cure up for a little bit, and then I'll just re-drill a small hole in there, and I'll just run the screw back in there. That should hold. So I'll do the same for here, down here. So I think there might be a couple others on this car as well. So that's what I'll do with these ones that need a little bit of attention. Is I'll just get a little square of wood. I'll show you exactly what I did. Simple little trick. You know, especially if you get a wood-based frame car. So this is just a piece of that timber that I cut off the other day, where it hasn't got too much bore in it. Just knock a little, square off here. It's a reasonable sort of size. Probably, I don't know, whatever it is, 3/8 of an inch square. Doesn't have to be massive, but obviously it's going to get bigger the longer it gets. So I'll just make that fairly round and sort of semi-pointed at one end, obviously, you know, that's not the screw that I was looking for, but obviously, you know, so it's a reasonable sort of size to go, and a slightly bigger screw hole than that. Smear of whatever, I just put a smear of this on it, just around the end of it, and then I'll jam it in there, and that'll help hold it in there and glue it in there, and then yeah, basically the hole's repaired. So I'll just use this to make the end of it round. Just a little bit on the end of it like that. See down there, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, you can. Screw that there, so it's a fairly good size screw. Like that in the hole. So basically just bang it in there until it breaks off. So obviously gently try and drive it in there the best you can. Yeah, and just let it cure up for a bit. So I'll do this other one, it's been in there a wee while now. Just gently start my hole again. So all is not lost if you ever strip out a hole in wood, especially something like this. So I'll give that a little bit longer to just let the glue cure a little bit, and yeah, we'll do the same. But I've actually got that on there tight enough now. I should be able to check my door gaps again for this one, because I put a shim there actually. Did I tighten that back up? I'm not sure. I think we'll call that sorted. That's pretty good. Let's kick that out a little top. It's obviously brought that down, you know, just minor tweaks and a little bit of just, you know, with finishing bodywork and all that sort of stuff. But I think we're pretty much ready to go with this door. I'd still like to do a little bit more with this here, try and see if I can push that out. I might even, what I might do is actually find a little slither of wood, just cut something smallish and see if I can tuck it up and behind here just to help pull that bodywork out a little bit. So I don't really want to have to pull all this off. But if I can just tuck something up and behind that, obviously push this out, tuck something up in there, and then it'll stop that from going back, because that wood goes down to, where are we, about here somewhere. So I can just tuck a little slither up and behind, and that'll just help push this piece out and just give us a little bit nicer shape through there, instead of that stupid freaking flat bit. Just, it only needs to come out that far, just through there, and that will just change that whole shape of that piece. And then our like a door, I forget, hey, now that door just won't lock hard back, but that'll, instead of looking clear, the phone in the right place so you can actually see what I'm talking about. So if I hold that door closed, with that not being flat and just having just a little bit of bend in it, that'll be fairly good. With a little bit might have to just do a little bit of adjustment on this too, but pretty good, I think. Sweet. So now I will, because I made 2 shims up. What was I going to do? I was going to put another washer under the front, wasn't I? And then kick that back and a shim underneath the front. Another one. So I'll get that done and I'll come back to you. Righty, I finished screwing around, putting another washer under each front mount in the cowl. Put the shim in the bottom hinge, and gap is nice. Even the front one's pretty, like it's way better than it ever was. There's a smidge tight just down on this bottom corner along the actual bottom, but I can play with that with the bottom sheet metal before we finish, sort of dialing everything in. But I'm pretty happy with that. Shame the door doesn't close. Well, no, I haven't got a catch on it to hold it closed properly, but that's pretty nice. Yeah, the back door's pretty reasonable. It really needs just a little bit of steel put on the back. The gap's too close. It just needs a bit extra metal in here, because there's not much else I can do with that. Like if I screw it too much down here, it's going to fit queer. So it's easier to put put a bit of filler rod on the back of it and just tack it on with the MIG and grind it and clean it up and whatever, and that'll be nice. That's just a matter of when they remade the door, the gaps just weren't 100% right. So that's easy to fix. But yeah, that looks pretty good now. I'm pretty happy with that. That's pretty nice. That's brought all that way back. I don't think it should be too much of a problem. We'll find out when we fit the radiator and the bonnet, make sure we can get that fitting nicely. I'll get this other door sorted and we'll get that door back on now. Hopefully after lunch I'll play with that other hinge, and then maybe tomorrow morning I can get that door back on once I've got that hinge sorted. At least then I can make sure that gap's still good, because this is all changed with putting those things in there and screwing that down. So now this side will be already played with. But at least we can make the front door to suit. Or I can make it to fit that gap. But yeah, the back door's been made, so we'll just have to make it get fit as good as we can, and then if we need to add a little material or take a little material away, we can do that. So yeah, that's cool. At least I've got that side right now. Apart from, like a little bit of welding on the back edge of that door, just to obviously add material, and then obviously the rest of it's up to body filler and paint and whatever else. So yeah, I still need to put that slither wood up in behind there, which I will do. I remember, oh yeah, these aren't bad now. These are actually, with changing all this stuff, these are actually coming out pretty good. Even the levels here aren't bad. Even the levels down there, like that isn't bad. It's the difference between, it's a, difference between a couple of coats of high build and a small skimmer body filler. With the levels with that, it's pretty bloody good. I don't think it's worth screwing with anymore. Like the car was built in 1925, they were never, never 100% perfect. Nothing ever is, unless you're spending $750 million on something, like some of these guys do, and they spend hundreds and hundreds or thousands of hours making, you know, like a Chevy Nova, you know, $1.5 million car, and they're rebuilding it, which does happen. Anyway, well, because some people just got more money than sense, but yeah, like I would love to spend that kind of money on a car too, but not at the moment. But anyway, yeah, after lunch, I'll deal with this, because I got some bolts that I've got plenty of meat to play with, get this sorted, so hopefully we'll take that after lunch and see what we can do there, and have a pie. Yeah, and then once we get that sorted, we'll put that door on. It's not after lunch yet, but it's close. No, I've actually realised I've got about 15 minutes before I go for lunch. So, I'll just hunt through some drills. So, this bolt. This bolt is, I'm working on mils, is 5.82. So I've got a 5.5 mil drill bit here. So I'm going to put that through here. And hopefully when I heat it, it expands enough, and I can slide that through when I cut the thread off, obviously. Leave the thread on, and hopefully it slides through. And then I've got a, so that's 4.8, and I've got like a 5.9 mil drill bit, which is, so they're obviously in inches. Well, one is, one isn't. So this is like 5.9. So I'm going to put that through the other ones, and hopefully that's enough to slip fit the outer. It's meant to be solid on here. Well, I think solid in here, grab solid in here, and then just slip past. So this here will be just a slip past on the others, hopefully. So I'm going to gently drill this 5.5 mil through here. Right, I think. So yeah, this definitely won't go through there, which is what I want. So yeah, hopefully we get this right. And then put it all together. Just whack the end off this. Just check the time, I'll see how we're getting on. Might get it done before we go. Yeah, it's great, we've got a few minutes yet. That. Heat up this bit. And we'll push her through. Hope for the best. There's a freaking fire department. Siren going on. With emergency. The volunteers. just have to, I don't know, one way or the other, I'll have to just very gently run that 5mm, 5.5mm drill bit through there again. Just up and down a couple of little times just to maybe expand it a little bit. Anyway, after lunch, we'll have another go. Beautiful. Unrestored dual hinge. Hopefully you can see all that. But yeah, works perfectly now. There's virtually no play in it. It's awesome. Yeah. I can't. If there is anything in that, it's like it's so minute that it's barely moving. So it's perfect. So if I needed fixing these other ones, I'll just do the same thing. Just heat that up. Just run the 5.5mm drill bit through here. And that other one that was just very slightly over the diameter of the bolt by a thou or so, whatever it was just enough that you could push it through there without being loose. And yeah, just file a little bit off that edge so so it doesn't bind up. By the time we paint and whatever, and be beautiful. So we'll go fit it back on. Righty, so this door fits like poo again. Partly because I pinched the shims that go on behind the actual hinges that screw to the actual door itself. I pinched them to put on the driver's door, so I need to remake them to bring this back out. But I think now, because this is all being bolted down and screwed down properly, it's I think up and down was probably not too bad. Like level for here and here. It looks okay. Even here is not bad. It could possibly come up a smidgen, but the gap around this here is way too tight, and it's too tight at the bottom. So I could. It's going to be a bit of a bitch because you've got to be careful how much you can take off this. Like I could sand it back quite a wee way without taking it too far, and then weld it up and back a bit more and weld it up and back a bit more and weld it up to try and take away some excess material but still leave the fold over there, if you know what I mean. Just like do a little bit of time, take it quite a wee way in, and then weld the edge back up, which you basically end up welding the outer skin to here as well. Try and, because it's not really the best, I could come up a little bit, but that's not really that easy either. It's probably not too bad for the level really, because I can't really, it's like, you can't really come up without plugging all the holes and re-drilling the holes in the door, and and trying to lift it and trying to drill those holes like like a mil further down what they were before. It's not easy to do with this sort of stuff. It's it's to get it the best you can. So probably my only hope is to maybe take a little off there. But what I'll do is I'll put those shims back in there and then have another look, see how it fits, see if it's changed anything. And because the worst thing is it's probably going to push the door this way anyway. Well, no, sorry, it's going to come out because I'm not putting them in there, because I think the front and back gap, the basic front and back gap's pretty reasonable. I think we'll just get it out and we'll see how it fits. I might just have to, I don't know, do some tweaks. See if I can, because this isn't fitting very nice. I might better work this a little bit and get it down in a wee bit, because it's been not very nicely done there. But yeah, I might better play with that a little bit, and obviously shave the back edge of the door a little bit, and the bottom a little bit. But yeah, I'll make these again and yeah, go from there. So I'm basically finished for the day. I'm not happy with how this fits. I'm going to have to make up another couple of shims here yet, just to push that door out a little bit more. One shim's not enough. But yeah, we'll have to play with this door a bit more. And then hopefully Monday or Tuesday, should have a bandsaw here. He's going to go get a nice, some new one. So at least then we can start shaping this wood for the front door, do the initial shaping, and then hopefully with probably a plane and a few other bits and pieces we can finish doing the shaping. I'll get it to the point where I can get the frame actually in the door without the final hard shaping, and then I'll mark where I need to shape, obviously, and slowly trim it away. Screw the frame to the door, into the door, and then obviously do the very final shaping on the, well, not on the vehicle, but mark it and fit it, and mark it and fit it, and mark it and fit it, till we get it right, and then I can start making the skin. So yeah, alright, we'll catch you later on. I'll probably, I don't know if I'll get one day in a video, or whether I'll make it a 2-day video again, like I did with the last one, just whatever works out. When I go through and edit it and shorten stuff up and speed stuff up, just if it's only sort of about 20 minutes long, I'll sort of try and make it, add another day into it, just so it's like sort of 30-40 minutes. The last one that was a bit long, I think it was about 50 minutes. I don't like to have them quite that long, but sort of that 30-40 minutes sort of seems to be okay. Around that 30 minutes was sort of the sweet spot, but I don't mind going towards 40, but 50's pushing it. But I didn't want to chop off sort of mid-day, unless I was sort of changing into something else. But I was sort of running around these doors and fitting stuff and getting bodies squared up again and what sort of thing. So we'll catch you later on, and we'll see you in the next one.